Portugal is famous for being one of the oldest countries in Europe. Cristiano Ronaldo, its various churches and cathedrals adorning vibrant blue and white tiles, its fresh seafood, port wine and stunning beaches. Portugal currently has around 220 McDonald's outlets and ranks 29th on the world list of countries with the most McDonald's. The outlet at Porto is regarded as the most beautiful McDonald's in the world. This is my experience of trying McDonald's in Portugal. Welcome to the Portugal edition of Trying McDonald's. Porto in Portugal is actually home to what arguably is considered the most beautiful McDonald's outlet in the world. When you walk in there and you see the mosaics on the wall, the sort of wall inscriptions, something that you might associate with a Roman gallery, it elevates the experience. It's something unique. It makes you believe you're dealing with something a little bit sophisticated. And of course, whilst McDonald's is an everyday man's food, it does sometimes have a little bit of flair to it. The question you ask yourself, is it style over substance? And that is the question we're going to be asking ourselves today and answering ourselves today. So, standard procedure, touch screens there, lots of standard options there as you'd expect. And I'm on the hunt for something a little bit unique. And there was something that jumped off the page to me, was a range of soups. And be honest, how often do you see soup sold at McDonald's? Very rarely. Now I believe there were 4 different options on the menu, but unfortunately 2 of them were sold out, so I was limited to a choice of one of 2. The one that I've gone for is a classic, well, what I hope is a classic pea soup. It's actually quite popular in the UK, a pea soup. Maybe sometimes it might have another ingredient in it as well, but this one is just described as pea soup. Slightly concerning, or maybe not a surprise. Very, very busy outlet. They did forget to provide you with the appropriate cutlery for a soup. It's called soup, commonly is eaten with a spoon. No spoons provided, but thankfully in the hotel I do have a spoon here, so that's what I'll be using as my utensil for this first course. This is the standard offering. Looks like a reasonable helping of pea soup here. For us to guess the quantity, maybe 250 mils, which I think is a decent amount, because obviously this is just an appetizer. It's not the main event. I mean, you don't go to McDonald's in any circus really to have soup as your main course. It is very much course number 1. So here we go, open the lid up. It's got what appears to be quite an authentic green colour, a dull, rustic green colour, which I think is an encouraging sign. Let's give it a taste. You know what? I think there was another ingredient in there. I'm not talking about water. I think there's a little bit of potato in there as well. And I think that offers it slightly more consistency, slightly more substance. Because if it was just pea, it might be super watery. It's still a watery soup rather than a creamy soup or a thicker soup. But I think the addition of potato is useful. Is the flavour mind-blowing? Is it next level? No, it's not. It's quite a standard soup. You could have done with a little bit of seasoning. I don't think I did pick up or ask for any sachets of salt and pepper, but I think it could do with a nice little bit of salt and pepper. So if you're someone that carries some emergency or some ad hoc salt and pepper with you, I'll be whacking some of that seasoning on there, because I think it needs a little bit of a oomph. But for a starter, factually it is sort of a very unique inclusion in the McDonald's menu. I'm not mad about it. It's not something I'm going to remember for months and years to come, but it's pleasant enough. And I think you don't want to start too high. You want to start nicely, settle yourself in, and then hopefully later on in your McDonald's experience, then you get the highlight. Now normally when I'm looking for a main event, I'm sort of transfixed almost by what the burger options are. You know, what have they done? Have they put a twist on an existing classic, or have they actually got something unique, something different altogether? This time I saw something, I don't want to say totally off-piste, but a share box, a chicken share box. Now from the diagram is a suggestion that there's 3, maybe 4 different types of chicken in there. There's definitely nuggets in there, and there's at least 2 other types. This is what we're dealing with. So yeah, I mean, this was the soup, which is probably around 250 mils, and I don't know how that's doing for perspective. It's probably about twice as wide as that. Decent depth, decent width. How well filled is it? Is it filled to the brim or not? Let's have a look. So to me, yep, chicken McNuggets, successfully identified from the picture. I think there are chicken tenders in here and possibly chicken wings. In terms of quantities, it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 chicken McNuggets, which I think is a pretty generous amount. 2 chicken tenders. My initial reaction to that is I was hoping for maybe 4 chicken tenders. I think 10 chicken McNuggets is decent return for a share box. You're getting 5 chicken McNuggets each, but you're only getting 1 chicken tender each, which I think's a little bit stingy. I was hoping for 4, so 2 each. And then we got 3 chicken wings. Now this is a share box, so how's that going to work? It's obviously 1.5 each, but it's finger food, so unless you know your eating colleague very well, are you going to be happy about taking a chunk of half of one and handing the other person one? Maybe not. So I'm a little bit surprised by the distribution between the different types of chicken. I'm going to start with chicken McNugget. Now, interesting thing to note, there is a choice of sauces, condiments that you get with it. There is something called a marinara sauce, which I assume is similar to tomato ketchup. There's your garlic mayo, there's barbecue sauce. There was something that you don't see too often, which is called a potato sauce. Let's see what this potato sauce tastes like, and is it as good or better than ketchup? First impressions, look at this sauce. It does look like a mayonnaise, but there is a garlic mayonnaise option, so hoping it isn't mayonnaise. But let's dunk a chicken McNugget in there. I've got it. I think I know what this is. This, if it's not what I'm about to say, it's very similar to what I'm about to say. Salad cream, which maybe doesn't have the popularity in the UK that it did have a few decades ago, but beforehand it's a very popular condiment, as the name suggests, to accompany some salad. From the sounds of it, it's something that they might have in Portugal with their fries. For me, I'd stick to the ketchup. You know, ketchup's my preferred condiment with chicken items like this, and that's what I'll be sticking with. So maybe I should have gone for the marinara option, but I thought I wanted to try something a little bit different, and this is a little bit different. Let's see what these wings are like. Are they regular wings? Do they have a bit of spice in them? Do they have some other seasoning on them? Let's find out. These are pretty nice. I pretty prefer these to the nuggets. It's a bit difficult for me to have a reference point because I don't generally go for wings at McDonald's. In fact, I can't remember if I ever have. But they are quite nice. There's a nice little crumb to them, and there's a cheeky little hint of warmth, a little bit of spice. When you start eating, you think, oh, this is just plain. Sure, it's got a coating on it, nothing much to it. But after a few seconds, there's a very, very subtle hint of warmth there, which I really think works quite well. Obviously, McNuggets are quite plain, and some would say they're quite reliant upon having a sauce to dip them in. But I think you can eat these quite nicely on their own. The wings are in the lead so far, so we've got to try one more type of chicken. The tender. It is a decent sized tender, but like I said before, I think just having 2 tenders between 2 people, which means you're getting just 1 per person, is a little bit tight. I would like to see maybe 4 tenders, so you get 2 each. Let's try the tender. As suspected, as predicted, the tender is the winner for me. You're getting obviously the highest ratio of meat to coating, nice crisp crunch exterior. What I like about it as well, because sometimes it's difficult to get that consistency, so sometimes you get ones that are a little bit dry, sometimes you get ones that are maybe sort of been in the fryer for too long, but these ones are just right. They're not greasy. Nice crunch, good chunk of chicken in there, and yeah, just classic. So if you're a fan of chicken, then this is a winner. Is the snack box worth it? I think it's about €7.50. I think my biggest concern with this is I don't think this is sufficient on its own to satisfy 2 adults. If you're getting an additional burger on the side with it, maybe, but if you're just getting a snack box, so the flavours are all there, but I think the overall volume for how much you're paying perhaps could be improved upon. Now on that note, whilst I was drawn towards the chicken share box, I did have a hunt through the burger menu. And sure, there was lots of the standard classics, as you'd expect to see. And I did notice that the vegetarian offering suggested that it's got a new improved recipe. And I have to say that over the past few years, the vegetarian and vegan burgers that I've tried, I've actually been quite impressed with them. I mean, I think the years gone by, decades gone by, the meat substitutes didn't really taste like meat. They weren't great. But in recent times, they've been becoming almost more authentic in taste. So I thought I'd give the veggie burger a go. So, I mean, looking at it, it looks like it's lacking a little bit of finesse. As you can see, the ketchup is oozing out of the burger. It's quite the moment of truth. The good news is, it's different. The bad news potentially is, I'm not sure I like it. This patty, so I think some of them are made with like lentils. This one, or soybean, this one looks like it has got vegetables in it, and I've identified there's a bit of spice in this one. I'm not quite too sure what vegetables specifically we've got in here. I think there may be a bit of carrot in there. Let's have another bite. There's definitely carrot in there. There's definitely something green in there, but it's difficult to tell what it is. And there is a little bit of spice in there. Now, whilst with the chicken wings earlier on, had an aftertone, a little bit of spice, and I thought that worked really, really well. It's really, really nice. I'm not sure it works on this one. Also, I don't think the patty tastes actually that nice, so I'm slightly disappointed. I think part of the reason for that was I had quite lofty expectations, because the vegan and vegetarian burgers that we had in the UK and abroad before have actually been really, really nice. You know, sometimes I've almost preferred them to the meat option. This time, no, I'm definitely would prefer the meat option to this. How do we summarise? Pea soup to kick off with. I thought it was a nice idea, kicking off with soup. I mean, if you go to a standard bistro, it's quite common to have soup as an option for your starter. Not common at McDonald's, so I like the idea there. So I just felt it was missing a bit of finesse and a bit of seasoning, a bit of salt and pepper. So if I had a bit of salt and pepper, maybe I'll change my mind, but I'm sort of thinking it's moderate level, you know, not amazing. The chicken, yeah, the chicken was the highlight. I knew the chicken was going to be the highlight. Chicken nuggets fairly standard, really nice chicken tender, and I thought the chicken wings exceeded my expectation. I'm not a big chicken wings fan. The potato sauce that came with it, it's salad cream, so, you know, if you love salad cream then you're laughing. For me, I think I'll probably stick to the ketchup. And then the veggie burger, a little bit of a disappointment. So, whilst the chicken dish was good, I think this hasn't been the strongest performance of trying McDonald's. However, of course, the actual decor, the ambience and the history of the place is pure class, it's unique. So even if you're not anticipating on having a feast or having a meal, I think it's still worth a visit, because you don't get any of, well, I can't think of any other McDonald's with mosaics and almost like a Roman style architecture inside. It's very, very unique. The chandeliers hanging off from the ceiling. It's an experience in itself. So even though the food might have been slightly disappointing, I still think this is a worthwhile experience of trying McDonald's.